There are a lot of Nintendo Switch games that everybody talks about, and honestly, a lot of them deserve the hype. But every now and then, I play something that makes me stop and think, why is nobody talking about this more? That is exactly what this list is about. These are 5 amazing Nintendo Switch games I really wish more people played. Some of them came from bigger franchises, some had a bit of buzz when they launched, but none of them get mentioned as much as they should. And the crazy part is, every one of these games brings something genuinely special to the system. What I love about the Switch is that it lets games like this find a home. You can sit down with them on the TV or take them with you and get pulled into these worlds wherever you are. For me, that made some of these experiences hit even harder. So in this list, I want to show some love to 5 games that I think deserve way more attention. If you missed any of them the first time around, I really think they are worth going back to. Let's get into it. Digimon Story Cyber Sleuth is one of those games I feel gets ignored way too often, especially by people who love monster collecting games on Switch. A lot of players see the Digimon name and probably assume it is just for longtime fans of the anime, but this game is way better and way deeper than that. It is actually a really fun RPG with a cool sci-fi setting, a surprisingly strong story, and a ton of personality. What pulled me in right away was the mix of digital world mystery and classic turn-based combat. The whole hacking and cyberspace angle gives it a different vibe from a lot of other monster games. It feels stylish, weird, and just a little darker than people might expect. Then once you start building your team, it becomes hard to stop. There are so many Digimon to train, evolve, and experiment with that it turns into one of those games where you keep saying, just one more battle. I also think the progression is super satisfying. Watching a weaker Digimon slowly turn into something powerful never gets old. On top of that, the complete edition on Switch gives you a lot of content to dig through, so it really feels like a game you can stick with for a long time. If you like RPGs, team building, and monster collecting, hey, this one deserves way more respect. Plague Tale: Innocence is one of the most memorable story-driven games I have played on Switch, and I still do not think enough people gave it a chance. This is not the kind of game that wins you over with giant open worlds or non-stop action. It does something different. It tells a focused, emotional story and pulls you into it with atmosphere, tension, and characters you actually care about. What makes it stand out for me is the relationship between Amisha and Hugo. From the start, you can feel the fear, confusion, and pressure they are under, and that bond becomes the heart of the whole experience. You are not just moving through levels, you are trying to survive with them. That gives every stealth section and every dangerous moment more weight. The setting also does a lot of heavy lifting. This dark version of medieval France feels miserable in the best way possible. The plague, the soldiers, the swarms of rats, it all creates this constant feeling that the world is falling apart around you. And even with all that darkness, the game still finds moments of warmth and hope. I think some people skipped it because it looked too slow or too serious, but that would be a mistake. It is a game that sticks with you because of its storytelling and mood. If you want something on Switch that feels cinematic, emotional, and different from the usual lineup, this is absolutely one I wish more people played. Control is one of the coolest and strangest games that landed on Nintendo Switch, and I really think more people should talk about it. This game has such a unique identity. The moment you step into that mysterious government building, it feels like you are entering a world that plays by its own rules. Nothing is normal, and that is exactly why it is so interesting. What I love most about Control is the atmosphere. It has this creepy, stylish, almost dreamlike energy the whole time. The setting feels alive in a weird way, like the building is watching you and changing when you are not looking. That alone makes exploration really fun, because you never know what kind of bizarre room, object, or event is waiting around the next corner. Then there is the combat, which is just awesome. Throwing objects across the room with telekinesis never stops being satisfying. It makes every fight feel powerful and chaotic in the best way. Instead of just hiding behind cover and shooting, you are flying around, slamming enemies with desks, and using abilities that make you feel stronger as the game goes on. I also think the story deserves more credit. It does not hand everything to you in a simple way, but that mystery is part of the appeal. You are always trying to piece together what is really happening. Control is weird, stylish, and genuinely unforgettable. That kind of game always deserves more love. Deliver Us. The Moon is one of those games that quietly does a lot right, and I really wish more Switch players gave it a chance. It is not loud, it is not flashy, and it does not try to overwhelm you with constant action. Instead, it builds its experience through atmosphere, storytelling, and a strong sense of isolation that really got to me. The basic idea is already great. You are sent on a mission to the moon to uncover what happened to a colony that was supposed to help save Earth. That setup gives the whole game this lonely, uneasy feeling from the start. As you move through abandoned stations and quiet corridors, there is this constant sense that something important went wrong, and you are slowly piecing it together. What makes the game work for me is how immersive it feels. Walking through those empty environments, solving puzzles, restoring systems, and watching recordings from the past made me feel connected to the mystery. It is the kind of game where the silence matters. The calm moments are just as important as the dramatic ones. I also like that it trusts the player. It lets you absorb the story and environment without always pushing you forward with noise and chaos. That gives the whole thing a more mature feeling, which I think a lot of people would appreciate if they actually tried it. If you enjoy sci-fi games with heart, mystery, and a slower pace, Deliver Us the Moon is absolutely worth your time. Astral Chain is easily one of the most underrated games on Nintendo Switch for me. Every time I think about it, I come back to the same question. How did more people not become obsessed with this game? It has style, energy, great combat, and one of the most interesting gameplay systems I have seen in an action game on the system. The big hook is that you do not fight alone. You battle alongside these powerful beings called legions, and controlling both your character and your legion creates a combat system that feels fresh and rewarding. At first it can seem like a lot, but once it clicks, it is so satisfying. Pulling off combos, syncing attacks, and using the chain in clever ways makes every battle feel more dynamic than the usual hack and slash formula. I also love the world and presentation. The futuristic anime-inspired setting looks awesome, and the whole police task force angle gives the game its own identity. It feels flashy in a good way, but there is still enough mystery and tension in the story to keep things interesting. Another thing I think people overlook is how polished it feels. The music hits, the action is smooth, and the bosses are a lot of fun. It is the kind of game that feels confident in what it wants to be. If you own a Switch and like action games at all, Astral Chain is one I seriously think you should not miss.
There's no proof anything they've done is treason.
So you've turned too. I should have known. Consider yourself relieved of your duties. Effective immediately. The Rains will deal with you as well.
So those are 5 amazing Nintendo Switch games I wish more people played. Every one of these brings something different to the table, and that is exactly why I wanted to put them together on one list. You have got monster collecting, emotional storytelling, mind-bending sci-fi, quiet space mystery, and stylish action all in one lineup. For me, that is one of the best things about the Switch library. Beyond the huge first-party names, there are so many games sitting there, just waiting for more people to give them a real chance. And honestly, that is what makes lists like this fun. Sometimes the best game you play next is not the biggest one. It is the one nobody around you has been talking about enough. If you missed any of these, I really think they are worth checking out. You might end up finding a new favorite.